What's going on, guys? This is your model of the IWC Gamers Goon here today with your AEW Fyter Fest Night 2 review. And I'm not gonna lie to you, you saw the thumbnail, and you're gonna hear what I have to say. So I'm not gonna go too in depth with Fyter Fest, unfortunately for you guys, because I want to focus more on other things. If you could see the thumbnail. Um, huge for AEW, but we'll talk about that at the end. We started off AEW Fyter Fest Night 2 here with Jericho going up against Shawn Spears in the labor match here. The first labor being Shawn Spears can use the chair against Chris Jericho, but Jericho could not use the chair back. Jericho ends up winning this match. Pretty simple. I don't know what you expect. Jericho will continue to win matches up until he faces MJF eventually. He ends up winning the first labor. After that, the rule for labor number 2 was set from MJF, and there will be no more help because Sammy Guevara did come out to take out Tully Blanchard. There will be no more interference, no more anybody in the inner circle coming out to help Chris Jericho even the odds or anything like that, because then MJF will not face him. He just won't do it. That's one of the rules that MJF placed upon Chris Jericho. And sorry if you see me glancing over here. I am watching the Cardinals game too, but I didn't want to get that out too late for y'all, so I just have it muted on the side. But then labor number 2 was announced, and this one, man, started off our night of holy shit moments. It started off our night with big moves, and this was just the first big move because, as you thought with a thumbnail, I'm going to keep mentioning that thumbnail, about maybe 30 minutes to an hour into AEW, this news broke. Huge news. But AEW kept pumping out good stuff for us tonight because not only do we get all the news going on today with AEW, we got the debut of Nick Gage, and it will be a no disqualification match between not Chris Jericho, but the Painmaker. Chris Jericho announced towards the end of the show. The Painmaker will be going up against Nick Gage next week in that second labor match. Then I assume the Painmaker should win, and then we're going to see MJF lay out whatever labor number 3 will be for Chris Jericho. But Nick Gage coming to AEW, I imagine it's probably just a one-off, but that is a huge match next week. No DQ, Nick Gage going up against Chris Jericho, going up against the Painmaker, and a no disqualification match. That match is going to be brutal, and talk about brutal. Wait till we get to the main event, because that was something that was brutal tonight. Then we got Gallows going up against the Elite Hunter, Frankie Kazarian. Gallows ended up winning this. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I wasn't really feeling this match much. Kenny Omega came out at the end with Don Callis. They were sitting there making fun of Kazarian. Oh, the Elite Hunter became... What was that, Don? What was that, Don? Because he messed up his words. I don't know if that was planned or not. But he became the Elite Hunted. Not even a good line, in my opinion, but it is what it is. It just led for Hangman Page to come out and go face-to-face with the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, start swinging on him, and then eventually they gained the upper ground on Hangman, and then came out the Dark Order to even up the odds. And next week, we are going to be getting a 10-man match between the Elite going up against the Dark Order with Hangman Adam Page. It should be good. Then we got into a guy that I think is really... I think this guy could be something good. I don't know how good necessarily, but he was actually impressive here in the spot. It was Wheeler Yuta going up against Darby. Darby wins the match, but Wheeler gave him a run for his money. From what I understand, I personally don't watch Dark. I'm not going to act like I do. From what I understand, he's been doing well on Dark. So it's interesting to see what they could do with this guy. He put on a decent showing here with Darby Allin, a guy that I think is probably going to be part of the future going forward with AEW. And then during this also, we got to see Orange Cassidy and Sting do the little kicks, the Orange Cassidy kicks. Sting's been doing them as well. And it was a cool moment, and it almost allowed Wheeler Yuta to win. It almost allowed him to win, but he did not win in the end. And then after the match, we had the Blade attack Orange Cassidy. We got a really good match. It was very sloppy at some points, but in my opinion, the match overall came out very good. And that was between Britt Baker and Nyla Rose for the AEW Women's Championship. I don't know what it is, but it is really complicated for people to work with Nyla Rose. And I think it's more so the way they book Nyla Rose, or just necessarily, she is much bigger than everybody else. She's like, they matched her up against Riho, who's literally like maybe 100 pounds. And then Britt Baker. It's just, it's really hard to believe that Nyla Rose wouldn't be dominating the matches in that situation. It should be more of a less, uh, more so less of a fight between Nyla Rose and Britt Baker, but more so something of Britt Baker just out strategizing Nyla Rose, because that's really how you should be booking Nyla Rose. She should be a dominant force, not somebody that's going to be tapping out, not somebody that's going to be getting pushed around. That's just what Nyla Rose should be booked as. Not necessarily saying that it's a bad match. It was actually a pretty good match. It's just at times it's a little bit unbelievable to see somebody the size of a Britt Baker be able to do certain things against Nyla Rose, where she should be more strategic at the way she approaches things. So it was a solid match. Britt Baker won. At the end of the day, does it really matter? Not really. Chris Statler and Britt Baker is probably going to be the match at All Out, if you ask me. Then we get Andrade El Idolo. Andrade El Idolo coming on out. And it is announced that he now has a special advisor. Could have been you, Zelina Vega, but you had to go Zell out for the WWE money. But I think this is much better than a Zelina Vega, if you ask me. And that is Chavo Guerrero. Chavo Guerrero is in AEW. The moment they said Chavo Guerrero's name, I got absolute chills. I did not expect Chavo Guerrero to be mentioned. I did not expect Chavo Guerrero to be All Elite. That came out of absolute left field for me. I had no even suspicion of Chavo Guerrero being signed with AEW to be on AEW, whereas Nick Gage, his name's been floating around. Chavo Guerrero, I have not seen the name Chavo Guerrero floating around, so I got absolute chills that this secret was kept, at least away from me, and Chavo Guerrero is going to be the special advisor for Andrade. I think that is an absolutely fantastic pairing, and I absolutely love that Chavo Guerrero and Andrade are going to be together, because Chavo and Andrade and AEW, maybe teach a little bit of the Guerrero family tactics to Andrade, maybe push him up that little ladder, push him on up to where he could eventually become one of the dirtiest players in the game up there, winning that AEW World Championship. I think that would be absolutely brilliant. Chavo Guerrero, Andrade together, absolutely phenomenal pairing. I don't know who came up with that idea. I don't know how they got that deal done with Chavo, but absolutely brilliant move from AEW. And then we have the Death Triangle come out. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I really wasn't paying attention because I was too busy marking out that Chavo Guerrero just came out. So I believe we're probably heading into an Andrade going up against the Death Triangle in some sort of situation. But I'm not really 100% sure on that. But Chavo Guerrero and Andrade, that pairing alone, oh my God, that's beautiful. Then we get into the Blade going up against Orange Cassidy. The Blade did not think Orange Cassidy was going to be able to come, so he was raising his hand, all excited already. But the Orange Cassidy came on out. Orange Cassidy picked up the victory, and Orange Cassidy keeps on going forward. I don't know really what else you want me to say. The Blade was never going to beat Orange Cassidy. Solid match, nothing too special. Then we got into John Moxley going up against Lance Archer in the Texas Death Match. And this match, man, was not for the faint of heart. It had barbed wire, it had tables, it had a fork. Shout out to my man Abdullah the Butcher. We saw the fork being jabbed into both men's head. There was blood everywhere. It was absolutely a sight. It was definitely a sight to see. At one point, we saw Lance Archer throw a fan. Now, it was a plant, but he threw a fan at Jon Moxley, which is pretty funny. But at the end of the night, man, Lance Archer hit a choke slam on Jon Moxley through the, it was like a piece of plywood that had barbed wire wrapped all around it. He hit a choke slam on Jon Moxley through that, and Jon Moxley was not able to get up. And we have a new IWGP United States Champion in Lance Archer. I imagine that means Moxley's more than likely going to be taking some time off, at least from the IWGP scene over there in New Japan. But it should be very interesting to see what they do with Jon Moxley going forward, because I kind of feel like he still has a little bit more to do before he gets his longer vacation. But after the match, we had I'm very sorry for I'm pronouncing the name wrong. Hikalau or something of that nature going up against Lance Archer next week. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not very familiar. I've seen the guy's face before, but I'm not familiar with the Bullet Club member that's going up against Lance Archer next week. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, but he's going to be facing Lance Archer next week at Fight for the Fallen. But let's forget about the Fyter Fest. Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, it was good. Yeah, it was all this, that. Did you see what came out from Fightful, from Sean Ross Sapp? Now, let's first talk about the first one. Earlier today, we got news that CM Punk, yes, CM Punk, Phil Brooks, is in conversation with a company named AEW for an in-ring appearance. In-ring appearance. What's happening in Chicago on September 5th? Oh, All Out. Oh, shit. Where's CM Punk? Oh, Chicago. Oh, shit. And he's in ring? CM Punk. Could be big. But you know what's even bigger right now, at least? Maybe we'll get this match in the future. It was announced during AEW, and it wasn't officially announced from AEW, but multiple sources have claimed that there was an agreement, that it has happened, it has signed into pen and paper, that Daniel fucking Bryan. Do you need me to state that again? Daniel Bryan has signed with AEW. Wow. Now, we knew this was a possibility when Daniel Bryan's contract came up. But Daniel Bryan is going to be in AEW? Holy shit, man. That is massive. That is massive. That is by far the biggest name AEW has got to this point outside of Chris Jericho, including Jon Moxley. By far. He might be up there with Chris Jericho. He might even be a little bit above Chris Jericho when it comes in recognition value for a fan. That is huge. Daniel Bryan coming to AEW is huge. I don't know when Daniel Bryan makes his debut. I don't know where. I don't know how. I don't know any of that. But I can guarantee you this. Daniel Bryan in AEW is going to be great. Daniel Bryan in AEW isn't going to be wasted. He's not going to sit there and he's not going to be back in catering. He's not going to be doing what Shawn Spears was doing. He's not going to be sitting here doing what some of these other guys that just came over that just really haven't found footing are doing. He's going to be up there with what Jon Moxley did. He's going to be up there with the Kenny Omegas. He's going to be up there, sitting at the top of that throne with a Hangman Page. He's going to be in that main event scene. And wow, I can't even tell you how many dream matches you look up and down that AEW roster. Daniel Bryan versus Pentagon, Daniel Bryan versus Rey Fenix, Daniel Bryan versus Orange Cassidy, Daniel Bryan versus Trent, Daniel Bryan versus Miro, not in the WWE, Daniel Bryan versus MJF, Daniel Bryan against you name it. That is massive. That is absolutely massive for AEW to be bringing in Daniel Bryan. I wanted to talk about that a little bit here today. And I also wanted to let you all know about the CM Punk news. Thank you all for watching. Fyter Fest Night 2 was a solid show, but I'm going to be honest with you, that was not my biggest part of the night. Those two pieces of news with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, to me, outweigh the entire Fyter Fest show. That is much more significant than anything that happened on Fyter Fest, which is a shame because Fyter Fest was a good show. But it's overshadowing it very much, at least in my own opinion. Absolutely phenomenal job done by everybody that had a say in it. Great job from Tony Khan. Great job from anybody and everybody that had a say in potentially making those two moves happen and almost confirmed making the Daniel Bryan move happen. Brilliant. You all know where to find me on social media, GamersGoonYT on the Twitter and GamersGoon, or thegoongameryt on the Instagram. But right now, I'm going to get on out of here and get this uploaded for y'all as I finish watching this Cardinals baseball game. So, thank y'all for watching, and I will see you guys later.